Hey, Noel, what's up, dude? Am I joining with the hack bad guys? I mean, are you talking about the, what are they? Like the new letters of Marquis? You know, digitized pirates? Console cowboys? That's gonna be interesting. We're gonna cover that on Wednesday. I have a lot of perspectives on that, actually. So I just finished a YouTube video on what was happening, like, around a bunch of the AIs breaking out of their labs, kind of like as an extension to what happened with OpenAI and Hugging Face. But it's a bit more broad and talking about that. But then actually, I do have stuff planned for a video for that. So we were going to cover it on Wednesday Night News, but also that's going to be this week's YouTube video. So there should be 2 videos hopefully coming out this week. Yeah, no, I've got a lot of coworkers and friends that have all been in that kind of space before. So they had a lot of perspective to provide me on that. So I think it's an interesting point of view, to say the least. Make sure I've got everything up for tonight. I missed you guys last night. I super apologize. What are we gonna work on tonight, Brian? Same thing we work on every night, Pinky. Try to take over the network. Let me see here. I'm trying to make sure I got everything up. Oh, wait, hold on. Gotta fix something. Right, it's about time to get started. Let's see, I think everything's looking pretty decent. Streams are stable. Streams are not crossed. Don't cross the streams, I don't want to melt my face off. All right, let's get started. Let's see here. Is everything gonna, I know it's not. Oh no, it actually did work. Okay, cool. Here we go. By the way, guess who's here? It's a Peaches. Which are Peaches. She came over to me all excited. She missed me because I was out of the house a lot today. Who's a good girl? So she actually, now that I think about it, Gumby, she might actually need to go out. And I'm like, of course, right as the stream starts, because that's the kind of little attention magnet that she is. Peaches. I am very sorry I missed the stream last night, guys. The long story short is I've been a little sick and very sleep deprived. And last night I passed out around 7 o'clock when I put Honey Badger to bed, and Sock couldn't get me up. She's like, I tried and you were not waking up. So Um, so she just let me sleep. And I didn't even, and so I woke up a couple hours later. I was like, damn it. And so tried to get some sleep last night. It was a bit of a thing. Who's your good preachers? You want to get down? Come here. Come here. All right. But anyway, I missed you guys a lot last night. I apologize that there was like basically zero warning about it. Like I said, it was not intentional. It was just me passing the cluck out. So I'm trying to get my sleep schedule sorted out. The YouTube video I just finished cutting has a little bit different editing to it, and I'm not 100% happy about it, but it kind of works, and it gave me some new ideas for like how to do future videos. So it's not as nice as I would have liked, but it wasn't bad. It was decent. No, Gumby. So I have not published the video yet because I haven't even got it to download yet. In fact, hang on. You just reminded me. Stand by. I need to do something real fast here. Let me double check something. Stand by, y'all. All right, this should all be good audio. Export. Save. Okay. There we go. I was just like, oh yeah, I need to export that video because the export process takes a while. No, after I sent you the link, Gumby, essentially I left the house and went and braved the sun, even if like as crappy as I was feeling, because it was like 102 in Dallas today, to go take the kids riding for a little bit, just over at this like empty field. And they really need it. They haven't gotten to go riding in a couple weeks. And I was like, okay, I just gotta suck it up. This is how this has to go. So they can go get a little bit of practice. And Agent Zero's actually doing pretty good on his dirt bike. So he got a little e-bike and it's working pretty well for him. The suspension is too stiff. So he doesn't weigh very much. You know, he's 8. He weighs like 70 pounds. And I think the suspension's actually set up for somebody who's closer to about 130 pounds. So I have to do that. It's an electric bike, Gumby, so it's not... No, but normally he'd be riding about the equivalent to a 50cc. However, this one, so it's got 3 modes to it. Mode 1, I'd say, is probably about a 25cc, and Mode 2 is probably about equivalent to a 50cc in terms like a 2-stroke engine. Mode 3, I think, is actually closer to like 100cc. It's nuts because you can pull a lot of power out of those bikes. So he won't be using Mode 3 for quite a while. He was just on Mode 1 today. It's just to get him more time in the seat, getting comfortable, understanding it. And after just like an hour and a half of just riding it around this field, he's very comfortable with Mode 1 already. So next time I'll let him bump it up to Mode 2. He needs a 110 quad. He actually probably could handle a 110 quad, but a 110 dirt bike and quad are very different in how fast they go. Let me go and kick this on. So I was talking with Tyler. I really liked all the stuff we were doing in the HackSmarter lab. I enjoyed the heck out of it. So I decided, let's just do some more of that. I forgot how much I have missed doing a lot of Active Directory stuff. So went ahead and got that, and let me make sure I've got it pulled up here. Let's see. So I haven't done any of the ranges because we were just doing the stuff that he had up as part of the DEF CON challenge week and having a good idea. So I figured we'll go through this and we'll just run through it and have a good time with it. I like hacking Active Directory and haven't gotten to do it very much. Let me see. That was from our last set of notes in here. What else do we have in here? Some more last set of notes. Boop. There we go. We'll just have some notes standing by right here. Hey, Killa. Happy Sunday, dude. Yeah, I really missed y'all last night, guys. I felt I felt horrible when I woke up. And so the first thing I did is I sent the message about, obviously there was no live stream, and I am trying to take better care of myself. I'm getting better at the editing, enlisting some help with the editing that is very, very graciously been offered, because the YouTube channel doesn't even make any money, so I can't really pay an editor. So 104 in Austin. Oh, dude, see, that's what I'm worried about, Killa. So the cross-country races that that's Agent Zero participates in, a lot of them take place in like the areas that are south, kind of like west of Dallas. And so a lot of that, you just go further south, it just gets hotter. And so like 104, oof. So we still have about a month though, a little over a month before the next race happens. So we take the summer months off. So we take like a mid-season break in June, July, and August. So we'll start back up in September. And so we have September, October, November, December. We have 4 more races. And Agent Zero's got a solid grip on state championship right now. So he's been doing just absolutely great. So definitely have to go finish the stream or finish the season out. Do I share the races? No, I've thought about it, but also there's some other weirdness about that, just because, you know, you're videotaping other people's kids and stuff. So occasionally I'll show like a clip from a race or anything, but as far as like recording them, I've thought about trying to do live streams from the races, like just chill out, hang, talk BS. Unfortunately, what is it? Oh, yeah, unfortunately, a lot of times the cell reception out there is just not that good. Hang on, let me rearrange these windows a little bit. There we go. Oh, no. Let me just exit out of that one. Need to clear that. HackSmarter. Let's make a new director here. Range Bitstream. There we go. Let's just CD over to that. There you go. We'll get a new folder set up here with some tools and whatnot. Oh, share the scores. I mean, for the most part, we've had 5 races for the season. We had January through May. There's 1 race a month. Agent Zero has gotten first place in all but 1 race because he had a mechanical problem. And he was actually pretty close to the first place kid when he had that mechanical problem. So, and then the other boy that he was duking it out with for first place in that race, I think he had the same problem in the May race. So what happened was, real quick, I'll show you this, and then we're gonna go dive into the lab. So what happens is these young kids, they're not using a manual clutch. What they're doing is they're using something called like a centrifugal clutch in here. So what you've got is, this is roughly what the side of the engine looks like here. And then back here is actually where you have your drive sprocket that happens. Right here. And so, actually it doesn't really look like that, but we'll just leave it like that. And then up here is actually where you have the connection to the engine. So up here, this is the centrifugal clutch right here. And then there is a big old, basically like belt that goes around these. God, I'm struggling with my words today. So there's a belt that connects it. So this one goes over here to basically the drive shaft here, more or less. And what happens is inside this centrifugal clutch here, there's these little channels here. And they look roughly like this. There's actually more of them. I'm just going to draw 4 here. And there's weights inside of here. So that's what these orange sections are here. There's these little weights. Now, whenever it's not moving, those weights are just kind of sitting here in the middle. But whenever the engine starts spinning and this guy starts rotating, those little weights shoot out to the end, and then that squeezes the clutch right about there. And that's what actually causes it to grip and then go drive the drive shaft in here. Well, what happened is these rollers got stuck. They got dirty, and so they couldn't fully engage. So there's actually 5 of them on this bike. I just drew 4 in here. And I think 2 of them were dirty. So only 3 of the 5 were engaging when this happened. And so he was, poor kid, he was struggling. He was having power problems. Like, he was having a little bit of trouble getting up some hills. But he still did really well on it. So when my son was a freshman football player, I streamed the games, or streamed the youth games. So sometimes the parents worked and wanted to see the kids play. I have thought about it. I just haven't had a chance to talk to the organizer, and we're actually probably, I don't know. It's hard also because we don't know what kind of connection we're going to have out there. I could potentially do it with Starlink, but then I've got to go spend a couple $100s to get Starlink spun up. And then it just becomes like a whole media production thing, right? Yeah, Gumby, it works the same way, kind of like you were saying, a chainsaw or a weed eater with that little centrifugal clutch in there. All right, let's see here. Let's go ahead and hop in. I was sad I didn't get to do any hacksing last night. I love the hacksing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the Bitstream range in here. Oh, and you know what? I don't think I have Mythic installed on this system, do I? Let me see. I don't. Okay, we gotta fix that. Let me see. New tab. Boop. Let me see. We gotta fix that real quick. So let's CD over to opt, because there's a new version of Mythic out. Let's see. Mythic. Oh, dang it. Where was it? I know it was in the Apollo. It was in the SpectreOps blog. Hang on. Yeah. Let me go pull it up real quick, because honestly, I forget what the command was to install it. So Mythic 4 is now in beta. Return of the Cookie Monster. Let me go find that real quick. Ah, here we go. So Cody published the preview of Mythic 4. Ah, here we go. This is what I want. Yes. I want this copy. Just like this. And then I want to put this in Mythic. I think just like that. Yeah, there we go. Let's get that, and then we'll CD to Mythic, sudo make CLI start. Okay. There we go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to build the Mythic CLI, and then I'm going to get it set up real fast, because this is a full range in here. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be pivoting around. Where was it? Here we go. Let me go back. So this is what the range looks like here. Boop. So we're going to start with our VPN. We got a web server. We're going to hop into subnet DOS and then subnet trace over here to get to the DC. Boop, boop, boop. So I was like, we're going to need a little bit of a command and control action happening here. So let's go do that. There we go. And then sudo. If I can type Mythic CLI start. Wait, what? Port 888's already in use. What? Hold on. Let me see what's running here. Python 3. Why is Python 3 running there? All Python 3. High pucker factor option here. Okay, nothing showing up there. Good. Yeah, I think Dixie was running something on 888, and that's fine because that range is long since shut down. I actually am going to go through and re-architect Dixie a bit, and Dixie itself might actually be shifting out of Pi, and Pi become the execution harnesses, and then Dixie becoming more of the orchestrator system that we interact with in there. The call's coming from inside the house. Yeah, right, Bobby? All right, now let me get Mythic started here, because we're going to need a couple of goodies happening here. All right, we'll let that go for a second, and let's go see what's happening over on the range side of the house. Hold on. Let me close that. Close that. I'm going to keep that because, here we go. I'm going to need these two commands also in here. So I need Apollo. I'll need HTTPS. We're going to want both of those after this finishes running. So let me keep that up. Let's see here. So what's our job here? Community walkthroughs. Let me see. So the objective and scope. So Bitstream is a cloud storage provider that hosts sensitive data for enterprise clients. They have segmented their internal Active Directory environment, bitstream.hesm, and requested that a full penetration test of their environment. You'll have VPN access to the Active Directory environment. Cool. Let's see. Let's launch this. We'll get this going here. Let's take a look at what we got here. Oh, nice. This is wonderful. I like that. Let's see. So what do we got here? Oh, okay, cool. We can click on the individual elements to copy them. Nice. Very cool. Do I need an individual VPN, or can I just use my regular HackSmarter VPN? I guess we're gonna find out. Yeah. Happy Sunday, everybody. I missed you guys last night. I really do super apologize. I try not to miss the streams because, one, you guys are hilarious. Y'all crack me up. We have a great time. I like going through this stuff, especially to keep me sharp, because I'm not doing this kind of penetration testing lately. I haven't since February. We've had other people. Basically, it's kind of almost not quite luck of the draw, but it's just I've been assigned to other work. So download it anyways, just to make sure. Oh, you know what? It does say bitstream.ovipin. Let me see if I can reach it real quick. Let's see. Okay, so it looks like we probably do need a different one, because the pings are failing. All right, cool. Let's close this out real quick. Let's see. That was the lab VPN. All right, so let me CD over to the range, and then let me see if I can I just W get that? Oh, it won't let me do that. Lame. Okay, that's fine. Well, the thing's spinning up real quick anyway, so stand by. Let me grab a copy of this. Bitstream.ovipin. Stand by. I'm just dropping this over into Vimeo real fast. Okay, there we go. Boop. I could just move it over, but you gotta remember, this is an SSH connection. Also, I didn't download it inside the VPN, so that's why I was doing the copy pasta in there. Oh no, I'm doxing myself. Nice. Close that. All right, now let's go get that set up real quick. What do we have? What's it? It was just Bitstream. Let's get that going. Okay. Oh, you know what? I did this in like the wrong window. That's fine. You know what I'm going to do? Rename session. This will just be Vipin. There we go. The system may not be provisioned just yet also, so that might be it. But we did get down the new VPN. We'll give it a second here. Let's see, what is this? I wonder if I'm going to need to... Let me see something real quick. Let's dig that host name real quick. I mean, chances are we'll have to go probably set these up ourselves, but that's okay. Because what we can do is we can actually just go set those up in Etsy host real quick. Communication error. What? Let me try something real quick, just as a sanity check. That is not right. Okay, that worked. What is going on in my Etsy resolve? Hang on one sec. Let me double check something real quick. So this doesn't have... Hang on, before I just go start revealing everything here. I'm just double checking the VPN config to see if it's set a name server. It does not. Okay. So I don't know where these name servers came from. Those might have been like range name servers. Oh. Let me modify this. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Append. We'll just set the name server to quad ones. There we go. And then let's go build a Etsy host file real quick. Let's see. I don't think I need. Let's see. All of the rest of these don't need. So let's just get rid of all those. And then let's go build our host file out real fast. In fact, let me put a note in here. This will be for a Bitstream. I'm probably doing this the hard way, but you know what? It's fine. This is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is awesome. Let's go grab that real quick. Just gonna drop these in here. Oop, get that one. I'm going to assume all of these were given to me from a scope right here. That's why. Like, these are the ones that are in scope here. So let me grab that IP address. Get a workstation, and then we've got our DC right here. So we're actually going to double this one up real quick. And then what we'll do is just take this out right here. There we go. Just like that. You only saw part of the cert, Gumby. That's why I turned the OPSEC mode on. I know, it says nothing available. Let's see. Connecting to the VPN, view, VPN. We got that. We got a VPN. I have connected to the VPN. So then what? Then we have the flags in here. All right, so please wait 5 to 7 minutes. Make sure everything's online. Okay, so that's what I said. We're going to go try this one real quick. Let's go try pinging it again. We'll see what happens. So while this is trying to connect here, actually, hold on, let me try something real quick. Let's do a little bit of curl action. should be good. Hang on 1 second. I'll make sure I remember something quick. Let me clear this. Let's make sure we see our ton. We see a ton 0 and a ton 1. Interesting. Let me try something real quick. Let's see, I think it's IP route get 10.0.0.5. Yeah, so that should be good there. We should be able to get to it through ton 1, which... yeah, it looks fine there. Shouldn't be any other VPN processes running. I probably should have just restarted the box. Oh, we have multiple VPNs running in here. You know what? Let's do. You know what? I think I know what to do here. Let's just close all of this. Close window. Close. I think we just need to restart this box. Don't say. Yeah. Because this box, I've done so much stuff on it, and it's in such a weird state because we had Dixie running on it. Let's give it a reboot. We're just going to turn it off and on. There we go. You gonna reboot? Are you gonna?
Hello, IT. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
I'm trying. Why is it doing this? Of course, we're gonna have lab issues tonight. Let me see. I think this was in the hack the box range. I believe it's this one. Is that the right one? Oh crap! Which range are we even in? Yeah, give it a good old reboot, Zammer. If I can find out which one it is, because now it looks like it is. Oh wait, there we go. Okay, so it did actually reboot. Hang on. It should reboot pretty fast. Now we've got the black screen of death. Need extra floppies. Speaking, oh, actually, hold on. So that reminds me, because I was thinking like Microsoft's from Neuromancer. So I finished reading Neuromancer. Really good book, and now I'm about halfway through Count Zero, which is the second book in this the Sprawl trilogy, and I was actually really sad because, very very minor spoiler, the characters from the first book don't really carry over to the second book. So and then I found out that there's a little bit of an explanation. There was a bit of a time jump, but until you reach that point, which is about halfway through the book, you don't realize there was a time jump between the two books. All right, this is suboptimal here. So this was the dev box. Hang on. I gotta remember which system this is. 10.3.10.1. Let me go back over into Proxmox, into dev. I believe it is this one here. Okay, so that's not the right one. Let me just stop that one. Yes. Because that is not the correct box in here. Oh, it's this one right here. Ah, there it is. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was afraid had happened here. Restart. Let me see if this will do it. If not, we'll give it a restart from here. Reboot. There we go. Now it looks like it's actually rebooting. Got it. You have too many VMs to keep track of. Well, typically they're separated into different ranges. I will probably end up... Yeah, I probably won't blow away the system, but I'll probably go in and clean up a whole bunch of these. So there was an update with Ludus 2 where you don't necessarily need to have multiple users in there. So the way Ludus used to work... Let me clear this out real quick. So the way Ludus used to work, and it was not a bad solution there, is that on your Ludus server, in here, what would happen is you would have a user in here, and then that user would be mapped one-to-one to a range. And okay, not necessarily a bad setup, but the problem is you only got the one range. So if you wanted to have multiple ranges, you needed to have multiple users in here. This has changed to where now it's a one-to-many. So I can have range 1 now. I could also have like range 2, and now I can have range 3. So the reason why there's so many different ones in here, where is it? Here we go. So the reason why you see all these different ones right here, each of those was a different user, so that I could have a different range in there. So yeah, there was a whole bunch of users in there because I needed a bunch of different ranges. Well, that has been changed now in starting with Ludus 2, where you can have one user with multiple ranges under them. So it'll be a bit easier in the future. Okay, I think Callie's rebooted now. Let's see. The dragon. Let me see here. Okay, yeah, that's good. Actually, you know what I should have done? I just realized something. Hold on. I know I just said, yay, we're good. Actually, I need to do something else real quick here, which is I want to go ahead and shut it down real quick because I wanted to up the RAM on this system. It needs more dedicated RAM. Let's see here. Where is that? Hardware, and then memory. Let's edit this. I don't remember. I don't remember what it is. 16384 times 2. 32768. I should know that. 32768. There we go. Okay, and now we'll start it up. Boop. I wanted to give it some more RAM because if we're going to be running something like Mythic plus... What's the other? If we're going to Mythic plus like Bloodhound or anything else in there, I just want to make sure I've got plenty. I don't want to be fighting resource contention during the lab. So give it some extra RAM in here. Hey, Hats, what's up, dude? Should have just downloaded more RAM once it booted. Man, I miss the days when you could download more RAM. But now the prices are just too expensive, Zammer. Like, even downloading the RAM. Okay, cool. The box is back up. Let me close that. Let's close that. Let's reconnect. All right, now we're cooking with propane. Let's see, CD to HackSmarter, range Bitstream, and let's do sudo ovipin. Goes bitstream.ovipin. Open view? Oh, because it's I'm ovipin. Open VPN. There we go. Okay, now cook with propane. So now, bring this up. Let's see if we can ping that box again. Hey, now we're going good. Okay. Let me see something real quick. Do we have? Oh, good. Our mythic stuff is up. Good. Unfortunately, now I don't know what the mythic login was. Oops. I gotta go get logged into that. Let me see. Localhost, I think it's 7443 on here. accept the risk. Hey, there we go. Ooh, I like the new style on Mythic. I am partial to this cyan look on here. In fact, whenever I get ready to kind of like cyberpunk out the office here to make it like more like a studio, then that was the color I was going to do. It's kind of like a cyan with maybe a little bit of blue or purple accents. And so I like this. This looks nice. This looks excellent. All right. Now, if you're in a situation where like I am, where you just rebooted the system and you don't know what your admin password is, it's real easy. So what we can do is we can do sudo grp, and then we'll go to opt. If I can type. You're not gonna. There you go. I was like, okay, can you tab complete a little bit for me? There we go. There we go. Got in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sudo grp out of that. I'm gonna look for admin. There we go. So this is the password we need right here. Copy selection. And I forgot it's actually mythic _ admin. Oh, guess you need a password, don't you? Save. There we go. Excellent. You can also download more CPUs. Unfortunately, I've already got 2 in this server. I don't have a room for another CPU to download. Wait, hold on, hats. Let me get you a let's see. Working on a schematic editor for logic that uses math equations to optimize wires between elements, and then compiles a worker from the defined logic. Basically all made by GPT now. I have significantly more gray hairs than I would have writing it myself. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Whenever it used to be coding was like this, right? It was like how much time you spent actually coding, and then how much time you spent debugging. So the way it used to be is this was the debug, right? And this was actually the coding right here. And then they flip-flopped whenever AI came into the picture. AI just flip-flopped them back in here. Code time went way down here. Debugging time went way up here. Okay, I forgot to do something, actually. Hang on one second. What I need to do is... Let me get one more tab open here. Because I forgot I need to finish configuring Le Mythic in here. So let's CD to Mythic. And let me go grab 1 or 2 more things in here. Where is this? Boop. There we go. So we need, by default, Apollo doesn't come with anything. So we need to install, actually, let me do this first. I'm gonna grab the HTTP C2 profile first. Because the HTTP profile is a prereq for Apollo, so it just makes sense to install it first. So we'll get that up and going. That's good. And then now let's go grab Apollo. Apollo is an open source Windows agent for Mythic. There we go. Then we should be able to see those come up in the UI here in just a second. Debug's usually always been 90% for the embedded stuff. So now it's changed from running GDB to arguing with an AI and how to run GDB the right way to catch whatever's messed up. Yeah, embedded is such a different world, hats. I get it, man. I fully get it. All right, hang on. We'll give Mythic just a second to connect real quick. Let me see if I can... Can I go pull up what this web server is? Let's see, what was this? Web. Let's see if our changes maintained. Hey, there we go. Now we're cooking with propane. But we don't want to just go through the web interface. We're going to start doing a little bit of reckonance. There we go. All right, so let me rename this tab. Rename. This would be Mythic, and let me rename that tab. We're going to call this one Vipin, just like so. Let's move you right about there. And then this one, I'm going to I'll just leave that one as is. Okay. Let's clear that out. You can also just download more GPU. Hold on, I actually need to see what that one is. Because I hadn't seen that one. I've seen the other two. Download a GPU now. 45 million AI engineers upgraded. 99% uptime. Infinity T-flops. Okay, cool. Downloading right now. Downloading 32 gig tensor. Ta-da! The machine has now been accelerated. Excellent. I can run all the local models now. I will be downloading Kimi K3 later, and we're going to run that local. Let's see. Hey, Mantroop, what's up, dude? Let's see. I've been the best, and I've beat the best. I've retired more men than Social Security. For anybody wondering, that was Apollo Creed from Rocky 4. I don't care what anybody says. The Rocky movies are an American treasure. All right, let me see if I've got something in here. So I've been using a lot of Nmap, but do I have Rust scan on? I don't. That's fine. I wanted to try something different. Let me see if it's... Is it in the Kali repos? Rust scan. It's not. Okay, then I'm not going to worry about it. We're just going to stick with Nmap then. Let's do Nmap. Tech, P-Tech. We'll do a T4 on here. And... we're just going to do that first, and then let's give it our target, which will be web dot... what was the host name? We'll just drop this in. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of a reconnaissance right here. We'll just let it go. Yeah, I know that's not the most efficient way to do it, but it can be fine. Hey, Eddie, so we are going through... Okay, so it only has 80 and 22 open. All right, perfect. There is a good friend of the stream, and very also awesome hackerman's named Tyler. He goes by HackSmarter, and he's got his own course material called the HackSmarter Lab Academy, but it's over on hacksmarter.org, and we're going through one of his cyber ranges called Bitstream. And so this is a very simple, basic one. I hadn't really had a chance, even though I knew Tyler's been working on this for a long time. It's been public for, like, I think, about a year. And they're really great. He's got courses. He's got other stuff. And he had a free week last week while DEF CON was going on. So, who crashed the buffer? Oh, Killer did. Killer crashed the buffer. 6 buffer crashes so far. Nice. Very nice. I know it says 2, but I know it's 6. I'll have to go through and fix that. But... thanks, Killa. I super appreciate it, man. So yeah, so what we're doing is, this is a basic Active Directory kind of penetration test scenario. So we're going to start with VPN access, and then we have this one web server right here. The idea is to compromise it and move into subnet number 2, where it looks like we have some kind of a sharing system. Maybe that is... let's see. Bruno? Anyway, thank you for coming online. I'm not quite sure how to say it, but I super appreciate it, man. Welcome online. Yeah, so anyway, we're going to start here. We're going to pivot down into subnet 2. Looks like there's a workstation, a shared, maybe it's like a SharePoint, and then we also have a SQL server, which would make sense. The SQL server is probably working for the SharePoint server. And then finally over to the domain controller. So this is like the very basic intro lab. Let's see. Here we go. Sorry, let me go ahead and knock this out because I should notice what time it is. Oh yeah, not sponsored by Jocko yet. One day, Jocko, one day. Let's see here. So what do we come back with on this? Let's go pull up the notes real quick. So this is us looking for our foothold right here. let's grab a copy of this stuff right here. And I'm not going to grab a copy of that bottom one there. Copy selection. Let's just bring this over here. All right, so what happened was, so we have 80 and 22 open. So pretty much the only thing we're going to get out of this is what's happening with those. Let's do one more quick scan. So we'll do 22 and 80, and then 80. There we go. And let's check what the versions are, and also we'll have it run some common scripts against it. Oh, I guess it would help if I gave it what the target is. Web.bitstream.hsm. There we go. It's Monday morning where you're at? Oh, yeah. So that's one of the things I like, actually, about streaming this time is I get a lot of folks all the way from... I get people in the US and folks all the way into, like, their Monday morning in India, Australia, over in Europe. So that's one thing I do like about this time slot for streaming is I get such a huge geographical disbursement for everybody. Let's see. What do we see here? All we see is some very standard OpenSSH, and we see a very basic Node.js Express middleware package in here. So it looks like we're going to have to go through the web interface. So let's go take a look at it real quick. So what do we see here? We see something about start your free trial. We have advanced encryption, seamless collaboration. We got 3 nines of uptime. Okay. Remember when 3 nines was a point of shame, and now GitHub, I think, is like down to 3 nines? I don't know what they've been at lately. Let's see. What happens if I start your free trial and nothing happens? Okay. Well, I guess let's try like maybe employee login up here. What else do we get? Get a quote. Okay, so we might be able to send some kind of an email in here. What about for pricing? Pricing, we could get a quote. That's going to take us back over here. What do we got for features? Let's see. Global data centers. We got Smart Sync. We got an admin console. Okay, so we'll need to figure out where that admin console is. And then what we have is we basically have one set of emails in here. Let's try, just for grins and giggles, admin. Will that work? Sign in? Okay. How about admin at localhost? Just for funsies. I've seen dumber things happen. Invalid credentials. Okay. So that didn't work. Let's see. What if I get a quote here? I think what we want to do is, let's go pull up Burp Suite real quick. Because what we'll do is we'll take a look at this, we'll submit this, and we'll take a look at it in Burp Suite, and we'll see what comes up. Accept. Now, one of the... Okay, so yeah, you pointed out that it's running OpenSSH 9.6, but notice how it's running Ubuntu also. So Ubuntu will backport security fixes, kind of like what Red Hat does. So even though it might be an older version of OpenSSH, I usually don't worry about like what's happening there. And for 2 reasons. One, yeah, there could be like an SSH vuln happening on this box. I can almost guarantee you that's not the intended path in there. But also, if I was doing like a real professional penetration test against this, and this box had an SSH vulnerability, someone, just out of the sheer background radiation of the internet, right, is going to have found that, and if I find it, chances are this penetration test just became an incident response. Just to be real with you. Let's see. Hold on, did I get... here we go. Temporary project. Start Burp. This is probably a really old version of Burp too. I don't know, 2026.3.2. It's probably not that old. Burp Suite's out of date. Well, can I get you to update it? Let's see. Check for updates. Download update. Ah, you're gonna make me download it from here? All right, forget it. Not doing that. Okay. Let's see. I don't want to get started with Burp Suite. I want to. There we go. Change that to dark mode. Let me buff up the font so y'all be able to actually see what's happening in here. Boop, boop. There we go. And then let's come over to our proxy. Let me see if I can get over to this real quick. Let me see if I can open this page. Hey, there we go. And then let me make sure it's actually capturing in here properly. If we go to HTTP history. All right, cool. We've got that. Now, let's see what happens. Company name. Let's see. Stacked meat. Your email. Chungus at stacked.meat. Details requirement. I need a place to store my meat in the cloud. There we go. Perfect. Now, let's go see what we got over here. Did we capture anything? Wait, nothing came back through here? What? Did I do that in the wrong window? Ah, son of a biscuit. Let me close that. I did it in the wrong window. Damn it, and that was funny too. Man, company name. Stacked clams. Let's see. Chungus at stacked.clams. We have many clams. Do you like clams? Clams are cool. There we go. All right. Not as funny as the stacked meats, but it still works. Let's see. All right, what did we get here? All right, so we got a post request here. Sorry, I know the text is a little bit itty-bitty, but very simple HTTP post. We just see the name, we see the email, we see everything else in here. Okay, cool. Yeah. Dang it, that sort of should have been company. Do you eat meat? I eat meat all the time. When I can afford it. Let's see. Let's go look at something real quick here. Let's see. Thank you for your request to our team. We'll review it and get back to you shortly. So what did we get here? We got redirect found to success equals true. Let me check something real quick. What if we did success equals false? That's all we got in there. Success equals foobar. Nothing? Nothing there? Okay, that's it. Didn't really get any difference. See, what about beef? Occasionally, yeah. It's a pretty standard staple here in the US. Pork's the most popular where you're at. What's funny is actually that's what I had for dinner. Is I had pork belly for dinner. Okay, let me think what we can do with this real quick. So what we want to try here is, so we have an employee login system here. We could go try something. Actually, it's funny. It wants to put in Chungus. Password would be, let's see. I'm just going to put Chungus in there. Invalid login. Oh, let me rearrange this real quick. Boop. Here we go. So here's our post for our login. So we could go try something like SQL map on here. In fact, let's do that. Why do we do that? let's see, where to get started. It depends on where you're wanting to go. That's always the kicker there. So if you're wanting to get started in like offensive security, or just in like security testing, web penetration testing, there's different places to start. Security is a really broad industry. If it's something like this, what we're doing, where it's specifically web penetration testing, there is a really great site called the Portswigger Academy. I keep wanting to call it the Burp Suite Academy, but really it is the Portswigger Academy here. Here we go. This one is in particular is specific to. Hang on one second. I gotta fix something on one of the computers real quick. Restart. Let's see if this fixes it. Nope, that didn't fix it. Hang on. One sec. Restart. There we go. Now we see if this linked up properly. There we go. So there's the link to the Portswigger Academy. It is really great, and it will teach you everything about getting started with web. Web is one of the most easily accessible places to start with offensive testing, and then kind of work from there into other areas. Like, for example, a lot of what I'd like to do actually isn't a lot of web testing. I prefer to do like network penetration testing. So this is my favorite thing. It's like getting into networks and worming through them and hopping around and rifling through stuff. That's what I really like. I like the post-exploitation phase. Hey, PT, what's up, dude? Yeah, Portswigger is amazing, and they put out some good stuff in there. I really like them. But yeah, this right here. So what we're doing is we're in the external environment, right? So we're working on getting our foothold. Footholds are interesting and footholds are cool, but that's not my favorite part. My favorite part is actually what to do post-exploitation. Like getting onto these systems and then bopping around and digging through long forgotten corners of the network and figuring out where I can go. Dude, I've been trying to catch up on sleep, APT, because like I'm going to apologize again for missing last night's stream, guys. For anybody who wasn't here at the very beginning of the stream, I passed out so hard, and my wife said she couldn't wake me up. She said that she tried. She saw what time it was. It was like 8 o'clock, which is when I usually start the stream here, Texas time. And she's like, "You would not wake up. You are so out cold. I just left you." And I was like, "Okay, that's valid." So I've been trying to work on getting my sleep schedule fixed up and thoroughly unscrewed up, basically. Let's see. OpenSSH 96P1 is affected by a critical vulnerability. Ooh, okay. Maybe we could go take a look at that. Got that natural melatonin. Well, what happened is I put my younger son, Honey Badger, to bed, and he was being a little bit of a turd and like wouldn't go to sleep. So I left him, and apparently like in my sleep stupor, like muddled over to my own bed and just passed out face down. And that's when Sock was like, what is going on? Like, you are out cold. And actually she wasn't wondering. She knows what's happening. She knows I've been working a lot. I've been working late, trying to get stuff ready for producing videos on YouTube. I'm getting better at it. I apologize. There's not going to be a consistent style in a lot of the YouTube videos because I'm tinkering with the editing, and I basically decided, F it, I'm going to do it live. And I keep messing with them in there. That's called being a dad. I know, right? Hey, 53, thanks for coming online, man. Welcome in. All right, sorry, I'm getting distracted here. Although, truth be told, I'm actually not really that sorry. All right, let's go try something here real quick. Let's do this. Can I save this to disk? I cannot. But you know what I can do is I can do it like this. So let's make another directory. We'll CD over in there. And Mommy did buy me a computer for Christmas one time. I'm gonna call this the login rec. What is going on there? There we go. Let me set test. Drop this in here. Okay. Shut up, baby. I know it. I'm just looking at the SQL map syntax because I haven't had to use it in forever. Like I said, probably usually whenever I'm on a penetration test, it's 99% of the time I'm going through like Active Directory, Azure, and AWS. I love the videos you've got going on, but always watching them. Thanks, dude. By the way, guys, if you want to try to support the channel a little bit more, I have something set up here. Hang on one second. So over here on the Blaise Bits channel, if you come over to playlists, there is Hack the Playlist right here. And so this is like a full playlist of like all the videos in there. Just do me a favor, throw that playlist on in the background because I'm trying to get those numbers up. YouTube actually just pissed off a whole bunch of people because, dang it, of course I closed it. YouTube has just thoroughly pissed off most of the creators because they recently doubled all the requirements. There we go. Dude. Wait, did sites come in? Sorry, I'm missing the chat here. Let me check it out. There you go. Because what they did is, it used to be to get a YouTube channel monetized. And I make no absolute qualms about this. The YouTube videos are actually just a ruse to get more people into the live stream to have more fun with more people for shenanigans. So anyway, what Yahoo, or not Yahoo, they're acting like Yahoos. What YouTube did is it used to be to monetize a channel and they'll run ads without you being monetized, just so you know. But what they would do is love from India. Wait, hold on, I didn't do it. Is that how the kids are doing it these days? Like this? Thanks, man. What they did was, it used to be you needed 1,000 subscribers and you needed 4,000 hours of watch time over the life of the channel. Lives don't count. Okay, understand that. Now they have changed it to where you need still 1,000 subscribers, but you have to have 8,000 hours of watch time over the previous 12 months in a rolling window. So, and you have to have uploaded it at least once every 6 months, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, that's what's going on with it, where they just changed the milestone real quick. Let's see. Hold on. I think I missed a couple things in the chat here. Oh, Psych did come in. Hey, man. What's up, dude? Okay, hold on. What was I doing here? Oh, that's right. I was about to do some SQL mappage. Let's see. Okay, let me check something real quick. We'll let this just kind of run in the background. So we have email and password. So what we'll do here is we'll SQL map. We'll do the login request, and then it is TACP. We don't know what the backend for this is, if there is one. We'll see if we can figure it out. But we're going to do email and password, just like that. Let's see what happens with this. Follow redirect? Yes. We'll see here. If it finds out what the database backend is, then we might be able to work with this. Chances are, since it's the Linux box, it's probably either MySQL or is something like Postgres. It's definitely not going to be Oracle because it's a free lab, and it's definitely not going to be Microsoft SQL Server because it's a Linux box, and why do that to yourself? All right, so we'll let that go for a second. But there's another thing we can do here. Okay, so email doesn't appear to be injectable. Password doesn't appear to be injectable. Okay, I didn't think it was going to be a SQL injection, but that's okay. There was something, crap, what was it the guys on? This is a great excuse to go look at Arcanum's new tool that they put out, because what do we have? We've got a post field in there where we can, in theory, send emails. Chances are we might be able to get something from that. So let's come over to ArcanumSec. They just released something that is kind of the spiritual successor to Beef, the browser exploitation framework. And I really loved beef back in the day. Oh, I just noticed I'm missing the chats. Hang on. Go down. There we go. Could also be Mongo. Yes, it could also be Mongo. So, psyched. I'm doing okay, buddy. I'm trying to hang in there. I've been kind of sick. I've been really sleep deprived. So, it's been a like a rough 2 weeks here. And on top of that, I'm working on a project that I can't go into super fine-grained detail on it, but part of it is finding ways to constrain some of the activities that agents can do, especially in the wake of like what this video that's coming out on Tuesday is going to talk about. Every freaking AI lab's agents busting out and hacking real stuff on the internet. So it's a ways to kind of constrain that. And I was almost getting a bit of AI psychosis because I was just about to basically reinvent EDR from first principles. And I have backed that up a bit. I was like, okay, hold on. We can constrain this with a couple of intelligent choices in here to try and like get this is going here. That kid. Hey, what's up, dude? Welcome in, man. Okay. So let me go grab a copy of this. So we covered this, I think, on last Wednesday's news stream. So Wraith is kind of like I said, a spiritual successor to Beef, the browser exploitation framework. And I really liked Beef, even though it was a little bit aged, a little bit showing its teeth. But here we go. This is what I wanted. Thank you. Awesome. Let me go grab a copy of this and let's go play around with it, because what I'm thinking here is not in here, but actually in this get a quote, there might be something injectable in here. So if we want to go test those, this would be a great time to go try it out. Hope everything turns out in your favor. Can't wait to for your project release. Hope you're making a blog post about it as well in a video. I don't think I'm going to be able to for this one, psyched, because it is contracted work. So if it was like my own research, yeah, I would totally do that. But when I'm doing contracted work, it's maybe 3% of the time I had to think about it. That would be, then they would let me actually like publicly release it. Yeah, we got that good old NDA happening there. Let me see here. What was I looking at? Oh yeah, I need to go. That's our mythic one. Let me get me a new tab here. New tab. Boop. Blow that up. All right, let's CD over to opt. And actually, do I need a CD to opt? Do I? Yeah, I do. All right, let's drop that. We'll drop this into Wraith right here. Let's sudo that guy right there. Boop, boop. There we go. CD over into Wraith, and then let's run our setup.sh. Let's see. How will victims' hooked browsers reach this server? They will reach it by our ton 0 in here. Let me see. What is our ton 0? This IP address right here. Let's copy that. Doot, doot, boop. We'll probably have to go change this. Port 8090, that works. Serve over HTTPS, no. Let's see. Login to Blaise. Password. Password 1234. Like that. Password 1234. Ultra secure password. Don't tell anybody. What? Are you for real? There we go. 8090 is fine. No HTTPS. Blaise. Password 124. Password 124. Boop boop. There we go. Now we got the Docker container building. There we go. NDA is inebriated disclosure approval. If you get selective with what the N stands for. Hey, Purple Core, what's up, dude? Constraining agents to not get over the internet is just limited to prompting to not get over the internet to make sure you don't need packages for the internet for local tasks. I mean, it goes to more than that. If you could just prompt the agents to not go hack random stuff on the internet, that would really be akin to solving what's called the alignment problem in those language models, where it perfectly understands the user's intent to an object, right, or to a system, right? So, for example, I'm still picking on OpenAI because they had the biggest beatdown because of everything that happened with Hugging Face. But actually, Anthropic, we covered this the other night too. Hang on, felonybench.org, I think it is. Guess it would help if I could type. Here we go. So Felony Bench actually keeps track of where all this is happening, and Anthropic's ranking in at 9 counts that would potentially have violated the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act of 1986. So, yeah, for all the grief that OpenAI is getting, Anthropic's actually the ones out there doing the ranking up the most incidents in here. National Defense Academy for NDA. So for anybody who doesn't know, while we're joking about NDAs, that is a non-disclosure agreement, which is a very standard piece of paper that you're going to sign for any client you're doing detailed security work for. And it basically means you're not going to go talk about like what we're doing. Now, it's a little bit similar to like what doctors have to do with like privacy concerns around HIPAA and all that stuff. It doesn't stop them from necessarily talking about it, but what it does do is it stops them from talking about particulars and specifics. So that's why if you ever watched anybody on YouTube like Chubby Emu, when he says, you know, SC presented to the ER with these symptoms, he's using like he's using like initials to identify that person instead of like their name. He can't say Sarah Connor, but he could say like SC. It's kind of a similar scenario, except even like that gets kind of particular. And so I wouldn't go in and say, hey, this is exactly how I pwned fictitious company number 344, because it's actually a little bit easier to go identify them. There's not 7 billion companies on the internet that meet that profile, but there are 7 billion humans that could potentially meet that profile. So, okay, hold on, let me see what we got here. Port is already allocated. What? Which port? 8090 is already allocated? What? No, it's not. I can't type. Docker proxy. What? Who's listening on 8090? Okay. Well, let me do this. Sudo vim. Nope, that ain't the right one. I can't type. There we go. We'll just change this. We'll change this to 108090. Do I need to run that startup again? Let's see. So here's where it's echoing everything, and then after we do this, Docker compose up tatd build. Okay. Let me check one other thing here real quick. So it's just using Docker compose up here. What am I going to look at? I want to look at Docker images. So there's Wraith right there. Okay. I think up tatd. Let me try that. Hey, there we go. So now we should be able to get to it on 108090. So let me pull that up real quick. Let's go to localhost 10, or actually just 18090. Hey, there. Oh, Jason, why would you do white mode? Oh, there we go. You scared me for a second. I was like, Jason's gone to the Fed side. Username, Blaise. Password, 1234. Let's see. Sure, save that. Why not? Okay, cool. We have stuff happening here. Nice. Nice. Could it be Mythic? I don't think Mythic's usually running on 8090, though. Let's see. Any progress on Armitage? You mean Dixie? Because Armitage was like the really, really old front-end GUI interface for Metasploit back in the day. I asked Claude to find funny meetings for NDA. It suggested nachos devoured anonymously. Nice. No ducks allowed. Nervously denying awareness. Nervously denying awareness actually is another fitting one for an NDA. Purple, I have no idea about anything going on with yeah, I don't think the Israeli and US armies are ever going to merge. That makes no sense. They're two completely different foreign entities. But also, I just haven't been reading up on that. I don't know have any idea what's going on there. I am a US citizen, and I also understand US law, and as far as I know, there's nothing that would allow another foreign entity to merge into the US military or vice versa. Sometimes the documentation is up on the ports. It's funny enough. Yeah, it can be. Let's see. That would make no sense though, because how are you going to have foreign individuals embedded into like the US Army? I don't get it. Let me see here. So now, hold on. I gotta figure out what I need to do here. All right, so after we have gotten into this, we've got our stuff all set up. We've got it running locally. So what we need is we need a hook.js in here. So let's go to, do we need to make a new payload? No, this one will be 192.168. Let me see. Flashbang. Let's see, what is this one? Here's ton 0. This is the one we need right there. Copy that. We're going to make ourselves a new payload right here. Hold on. Where's the interface? There it is. Boop. Let's drop that one right here. Okay. So now what we have is we have a whole slew of different injections we could potentially use in here. This is what I really like. So it's kind of like a mix of like XSS, what was it? XSS Doctor, everything. I want to make Arch not only my system, but my whole lifestyle. How would I go about that? I don't know, man. I mean, in reality, if you wanted to do that, you'd probably go install it and then like have USB drives with everybody that you could like hand out, kind of like, and be like, "Hello, have you tried our Lord and Savior Arch?" And you just give them a USB stick. Let's see. Oh, so Brad, Armitage, I meant making a research paper out of getting AI to hire a human as a vector. Oh, that thing. I forgot about that thing. Like, yeah, so for any, catching up everybody, there was a discussion like, if you've never read Neuromancer, there was a character named Armitage in there. And basically Armitage was like a human proxy for, I don't necessarily want to give it away too much, but essentially that's kind of what Armitage was like a human being controlled by a computer. I'm sorry. The book has been out since 1986. I apologize. I'm trying not to give too much away because sometimes people just haven't read the book yet. Anyway, so the idea was, could you actually like do something like that in real life and call it Armitage and like go like to rent a human and get him to do that? What's the cross-site scripting GUI? Oh, here, let me drop a link to it real quick. So this is a very recent project that the guys over at Arcanum had dropped called Wraith. And so if you've ever messed with the browser exploitation framework, it's kind of like that. Now, one thing we don't know is we don't know like where any of this payload here, right? Let me bring this down a little bit. So what we did is we sent in a quote, right, onto the test page. There's not a whole lot going on here. We have a name, we got an email, we got a message. I wonder if I can I adjust the... I know there's a way to make this text larger. I just don't remember where it is in the settings. But anyway, so what we're assuming is that this is being sent to somebody's email, or it's just being sent to like a back-end system where they could go view it. So we're trying to see if we can do a little bit of cross-site scripting on it. Now, the cool thing is, once we go through and we set up the payload, what we want to look at is like all these different kinds of injections that we could potentially try in here. So what we have, let me scroll through this. Let's see, we have attribute breakout, raw HTML sync. We could try that one. Let's try that one first, raw HTML sync in here. And what we'll do is we'll send this over to repeater here. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can find the setting to make this bigger real quick. I think it's maybe editor. Font. Here we go. Let me change this to like let's try 18. There we go. Cool. So here's the larger text that we're looking at right here. So what we'll try is we'll leave the rest of this the same, but we're gonna go drop this payload right here, and we're gonna need to encode this real quick. So let's come right here, and where is that? Crap, I can't remember where to do it. I think it's actually Control U to do it. Hey, there we go. Yeah, Control U will do basic URL encoding. So this way we can pass this as a... Well, do we need to do that? Oh no, hang on. Let me try something real quick. I think we'll probably need to... Actually, yeah, we will need to URL encode that. Let's just go ahead and do that off the rip. Boop, just like that. Let's send this and see what happens. Okay, so it looks like it took it in here. So now in theory, what we should be able to kind of see is if we have anything kind of come back from this. You also have to just tell everyone, I use Arch, by the way. Let's see. Oh, purple. So the older one was the browser exploitation framework. So... Oh, wait, hold on. For the cross-site scripting, there's actually a better one in there. So port swigger XSS payloads. There was an old one. I think it was called, like... I forget what it was called, but there is one here from Port Swigger. Purple. Here, I'll drop this in here. Hey, Max, what's up? So this was this was another good one from the cross-site scripting cheat sheet from Port Swigger. It's another really good one. It's got a huge amount of coverage in here, but it's kind of a pain to like go get your hook hosting payload set up and then drop this other stuff in here. So instead, what we can do is we can basically JSON over here with, or Arcanum really. Close that. What Arcanum did is they combined those two together. So they've taken a couple of the things that he liked to do for bug hunting, brought them together, and made them into like one cohesive tool. And it just released it, I think, around DEF CON. So I hadn't had a chance to mess with it yet. I was like, this is a perfect time to go tinker with it. Okay, hold on. So Null just sent some info. So NDAA, that's the National Defense Authorization Act, for anybody was wondering. Let's see. So United States-Israeli Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative. So this section would integrate Israel into the Pentagon's most sensitive research, development, testing, evaluation, and data sharing efforts, including AI, directed energy. Oh, we got lasers. They're firing the lasers. Cyber defense, biotechnology. Can we not? We already saw what happened with that about roughly, let's say, like 6 years ago. Let's see. Network integration, data fusion, while incorporating Israel into the United States defense system and program of records. That, I don't know how that would actually work. That sounds weird. But you gotta remember, just because they pass a law saying something's going to happen doesn't mean that they're gonna ever implement it properly. Let's see here. Now, hold on. After we did this, let me check something real fast here. Where do we actually see that we got something back? Okay, so we should see something. If it fired, we should see something over here in the hooked browsers. Oh, hey, we have a hooked browser. Nice. Nice, so we got something back. There's our request right there. I need a place to store my meat in the cloud. How many clams do you like? Clams are cool. And then here's our actual cross-site scripting right here. So this was our CSS payload right there. Nice. Nice. Hold on, are we actually logged in as Joey? Because once this is hooked, oh, it says it's offline. Dang. Okay. So yeah, so it was online for a few, like 3 minutes, and then it died on us. So the instant the browser hooks, Wraith auto-fires a page capture, exactly what a blind XSS framework would try to do. It grabs it. So we do have a cross-site scripting happening in here. And there's lots of interactions we could do. Unfortunately, it looks like when it fires, it only sends it that one time. But you know what we can do is we can send another one. If we come back over here, this one says it's online, open page mirror. Can I come over here and see his stuff? View quotes, open inbox. I want to get, where's all of his cookies? No, give me the cookies. Oh, wait, hold on. Here's his session ID right there. So maybe we could just use his session ID to do this. So if it hooked him, we could probably get a rev shell. Not necessarily, because we're hooked in the browser, right? So in the browser, we can kind of do some stuff in there, but not necessarily. And you got to remember, this is also a little bit, this is basically a script running on that machine that's happening. But with that session ID, let's see, page capture, cookies. If we go set this, copy, let's go try something real quick. We come back over here, we go to home, right? Or we go to like employee login. Let me see what we've got here for this. Let's go back to proxy. If we just go drop that cookie in, we might be able to just bypass the login page here. Actually, hold on. Where did he... Hold on. There's a better way to do this. We know where he was visiting. Here we go. So it's probably /portal right there. So let's try portal. Okay, so it sent us back to login. But that's okay, because here, let's do this. So let's go copy. This is cool. I'll have to message Jason and let him know what I'm thinking about. Oh no, what happened? Oh wait, I know what I did wrong. Hang on. So let me just type the URL in. So this would be portal quotes. Okay, sends us back to login. That's fine, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. Let's come over to Layburp. So here's where we tried to get portal quotes. It redirected us to login because it didn't find it. And what we'll do is, I want to add a cookie to this. It's okay. We'll just do it right here. Oh wait, I got to send this to repeater. Let me do that. So let me rename this one. This was our XSS trigger right here. There you go. XSS quote page trigger. This is going to be our, what was his name? Joey? Joey! I think that's what we got. Open page mirror. Yeah, Joey at Bitstream. So let's see if we can impersonate Joey's session in here. Yeah, no, this is, as Jason put it, this is like the spiritual successor to the browser exploitation framework. Let me see here. So what I want to do is, since we're in here, cookies, let's add a cookie. So this will be our session ID. And then it should be, I keep trying to alt tab over here, but it doesn't work because it keeps taking me outside of the virtual machine. Let's see. So session ID, and we start with 8F and end with A0. 8F, A0, F. Oop. Okay. Let me see what happens here. Another one bites the dust. All right, cool. So now we've got a little bit of access here as Joey. Nice. Nice. So what we can do here is we can actually come over here. Oh, crap. Where is that? I'm trying to remember where it is. Open request in browser. There we go. Copy that. So we can actually just open this directly right here. In burp, bam. And boom goes the dynamite. So now we are logged in. Oh God, it's so bright. All right, I'm gonna have to tell Tyler -5 points for light mode. Only feds use light mode. I actually tease him all the time that because he streams on LinkedIn that he's a fed. Let's see. So we're admins. I don't know if we're admins, but we can at least get over here. Back to dashboard. Can we go to dashboard? No. I want to go see the dashboard. No. Let's see. So after we get in here, why didn't it keep the dashboard though? Oh, I wonder if it just didn't keep the cookie. Hang on. So we might have to just go inject the cookie ourselves. So let me come over to, where is that? Application, cookies. Cookies here. Okay, yeah, so it didn't keep the cookie. So, can I add that cookie in here? Oh, I think I need a cookie editor extension. I want to... In raw Chromium, I don't think there is a cookie editor. Damn it! We could go do this over in Firefox. I know Firefox would let us do this. Let me see. I'm trying to remember if I can do this in Chromium. God, it's been so long. I don't do a lot of web hacking anymore. Could double click the thing. Oh, okay. Nice. Okay. So this one, I think it was _session ID. Yeah, session ID. Let me grab a copy of this. Copy. Pasta. Boop. There we go. And now with that in here, let me see if I can go back. Refresh the page. Okay, so the cookie looks like it's persisting in there. Back to dashboard. There we go. There we go. Support tickets, and then we have recent quotes, and we have internal messages, which I guess that was... Oh, no. Internal messages is different. Hello, hello. What do we have here? We have some messages between Joey, John, Tommy. Who else do we have in here? Hold on. Let me go make some notes real quick. Let's see. Let's see. Found the quote page. Sent XSS payload with Wraith. Jason is awesome sauce. And then after we sent the XSS payload, we captured Joey's session ID cookie. Let's see. There we go. So that kind of catches up where we are at with this. Excellent. We didn't have to do like a very fancy cross-site scripting either to get that to work. Let me see here. So now, what do we want to look at here? Let's take a look at one of these messages. From Joey to Tommy. Tommy, I need approval for the new marketing spend. Okay. What about this one? Let's see. Approved. Keep it under 5K. Hold on. What was it? That was message 3. Can you send me updated logos for the client portal? Let's see. They're under branding 2026. Okay. Can we duplicate? Let me see if we can get to that. Is that something that's in here? Nope, not in here. Let's see. So that was message 6. Let me just do this manually. What's message 7? Lunch at the taco place today. Nice. At 8. Let's see. 9. They're just talking about lunch. About 10. Sales demo went well. Client liked the encryption features. All right. 11. Let me know if you need a follow-up. What about 12? Server rack 4 is throwing alerts. Check it. It's always rack 4. Let's see. Keep me posted. Just a loose cable. VPN's a bit slow. Any known issues? Okay. We're just going to keep iterating through these. ISP maintenance scheduled. What else we got? Reach out to AWS about our credits. Let's see. Processing the request. What else we got? Do we have some AWS credits? That'd be cool. Database backup completed successfully. Oh, really? That was good. Let's see. I'm just jumping through these. Can we order more monitors for the reception area? Go ahead. More monitors. Let's see. Is that why it's important not to share session IDs? So we're now Joey. We are now Joey, yes. So no, this wasn't an IDOR. An IDOR would be like if there was a way for us to get to something sensitive, either by not having the appropriate permissions or having no permissions. That would be an insecure direct object reference in there, or missing authentication or authorization. I kind of just throw those all under the IDOR idea there. But no, in this case, what we're doing is we did cookie theft and impersonation here. Session ID was part of the email signature? I don't think so. Let me see something real quick. Employee login. This one doesn't have it. Hang on. Duplicate. Let me look at something real quick. See. Recent quotes. So this doesn't have any interaction with it in here, but this one and this one, in fact, now that I loaded this page, here's what's probably going to happen. If I come back over to Wraith, see how this one says it's online? That's actually us right here. Hang on. Let me see if I can, at least if I can do something to kind of show like what's going on here. If I inspect that and if I make that, what could I do with that? Here we go. Rather than making that gray, what if is blue valid? It doesn't look like it is. Oh, well, that's fine. But if we come look at this right here, let me see what I'm trying to see if I can show you like an example of it. Let me see. So we open the page mirror. See how we're seeing all of this stuff that's happening here? This is actually our page that's happening right here, right? So if I go back to dashboard, it's going to break it because it's going to kill the JavaScript hook that we've got running over here. No, so Kaylee, or Katie, I would say this would be, no, this would not be an IDOR. So an IDOR is when you've got something that, it's an insecure direct object reference. This case, what we did is when we got the first couple hooks back on here, we got a cookie value of the session ID, right? And we were able to read it because it wasn't an HTTP, it was not flagged as HTTP only. So if this cookie had been scoped properly, where it was HTTP only, we wouldn't have been able to read it from the JavaScript, and it would have come in through here. Let's see. But viewing messages not from the current user is an IDOR though, right? Kind of. Yeah, so let's say, epistemic. Let's say we logged in as Bob, right? And then Bob, through some URL shenanigans, could go read Joe's messages. Then yeah, that would be an IDOR. Yeah. IDOR is whenever you can reach out of like whatever you're authorized to view and touch something that you shouldn't be. That's why it's that secure indirect object reference. Or sorry, it's not insecure. It's just called an indirect object reference. Or insecure direct object reference. One of those two. I forget it is. But basically it means that there's something wrong with the authentication authorization matrix for that thing, and it lets you go to it. So let's say, for example, like, hang on, let me pull up the whiteboard of knowledge here. So an IDOR would be something like this. If we has, if we had something like, let's say we've got our website and we go to, let's say like mail, and then in mail, we have like some kind of like user ID in here. So user ID, and then whatever like the message ID is. Let's see, message ID in here. And if it doesn't properly validate that these two have to correlate, like this message is correlated to this user ID, and it's just treating it almost like a file structure, then let's say, like, for example, if we had, Bob right here, and he's got message number 3, so we're logged in as Bob, but if we just swap this over to, like, Joe here, and we went to, like, message 5, if that works, if that's good, that would be an IDOR right there. Because even though you're logged in, you shouldn't be able to go reach from Bob. You shouldn't be able to go reach Joe's messages in here. But that's why you're going through the message ID, right? Oh, so the message IDs, those were just me brute forcing rather than having to like go back and click all the time. Because in here, if I come to Joe's dashboard and I look at internal messages, I can go through and click on each one of these, and I was just lazy. That was it, right? So rather than going through and changing it, I was just doing this. But you're right. If for some reason that was a message, let's say for example, like there was a message 4,000 in there, message not found. But let's say there actually was like a message 40,000, whatever. Let's say there was a message 40,000. It was for 2 users that I had no interaction with. Yeah, that would have been an IDOR. So I was just doing this because I was brute forcing it. IDORs were such a big deal, and then we didn't even know they were called IDORs. That was before there was such a name for it. Back when I was a kid on the internet, I'm not saying I did this. I'm just saying I know it worked. So yeah. Hang on one sec. I'm still here. I'm just turning off the camera real quick. So I'm gonna pop my bedtime pills and turn my alarm off. I've got to actually get some proper sleep tonight. So I don't want to miss that. Stand by. I'm still here. Yeah, that's right. Not pooping. Yeah, I'm not saying, but I'm not saying also. There we go. Oh, actually, hold. This is a perfect example. So when I browsed away from the quotes page, see this here? Actually, let me bring this over here. So you see the active ones we got. This one, this hook last checked in 1 minute ago, right? Now, if I go back to the dashboard and I go back to quotes, so I go to view quotes in here, bam, instantly a new hook fires. So when this page renders, it's pulling from our Wraith server, pulling down that hook and firing it. And then now that hook.js is talking to Wraith on the back end here. So we have a live HTTP connection. In fact, hold on. If we come up here, I go to network right here. Let's see. Will it show it? Let me see. If I click on this, I want to see some more network connections. This probably is happening over a WebSocket. Hang on. Let me refresh it here. There we go. Okay, so there it is. There's our hook.js. You see that? Firing right here. And then now we have this hook WebSocket. So if I come look at messages, see all this right here? So these are the actual WebSocket messages. Hold on. You probably can't see it because my big old fat head's in the way, and also it's a little bit tiny. Let me see if I can I make this any bigger? Let's see. There we go. Ah, go back. There we go. So all these messages right here are things happening. So if I come click on this, and then if I say like, let's see, open page mirror, do I see any more WebSockets happening? Let me see. They should still be good. This should still be live. Actually, hold on, let me try something real quick. If I come over here, deploy an overlay for Facebook. Now let's see to log into Facebook. Let's see. I am at Joey at BigChungus .co. Password. And if I hit login here, so it went. So it made it look like, hey, there was like a. Okay, don't try to log into Facebook, please. And so if we come look at this, credentials captured via Facebook right here. And there's Joey's fake Facebook credentials right there. The biggest chungus among us right there. The Chungus. Never going to escape the Chungus. I've been using Try Hack Me. At least I'm on the right path. Yeah, I have moved. I was doing a lot of Try Hack Me stuff back in the day, just kind of messing around and tinkering, but I haven't really done anything with it. All right, so now the question is, what can we go find out from this? Actually, let's go try something real quick. I just realized something. Back to inbox. Since y'all mentioned iDoor, let's look at something. So the very first one we have in here is message number 3, and that correlates to message 3 in the URL. But if we come over here, then it starts incrementing. So since y'all mentioned iDoor, let's go try that real quick. Let's drop it down. No, not 20. So there is an iDoor. You guys are on the right track, because notice how we didn't have a message 3 in there. We were able to see this. So some new message between John and Tommy, which is not us. We are Joey over here. So there is an iDoor. Hey, Potion. So what we've got here is an iDoor. No, not 10. Let me come back a little bit. Here we go. Cool. So we have some more stuff happening in here. So what we might want to do is actually take this request, since we do got an iDoor. Let's go do something real quick here. Let's come back over to the proxy. So here's message number 1, right? Let's send that to intruder here. So intruder will let us insert a placeholder right here. Let's go and add that. Boop. And then we can tell it like how we want to iterate through this. Hang on, let me put the key, this away. So what we're going to do is, which one is it? Numbers. So we're going to go from 1 to 100, steps of 1, and we're going to let it go sequentially through here. Let's see. I think that would be fine. Just like that. I think I got this set up, right? That's it. Hold on. Before I fire off 100, let's just do like 1 through 10 in here. No, that should be good. Actually, we'll just go ahead and fire 1 through 100. Start attack. Boop. Wait, did it not run it? Oh man, do I need to go? I might have to go script this up, because in the Burp Community Edition, hold on, what did it say? Oh wait, no, it actually is running. Abort, no, stop, discard. I forgot, it just started in the background here. There we go. So now what we've got is Burp is actually running through this. So here's our request number, which matches up perfectly to our payload. So it looks like we got all the way up to message 27 in here. And one of the things we can do is we can really easily triage these, because we can look at what the length of the response is right here. So if we start getting all these 404s right here, boom, 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 not a big deal. You see it's still iterating over it. We can actually go ahead and pause the attack. It looks like we've run out of messages in this particular scenario, but we can come over here and we can see like what the messages that we have are. Let's see. Not yet. I was busy with the server migration. So, and then we had message number 1 in here. Let's see. Can I render it? Will it render? Nah, it won't render. We'll go to pretty then. Let's see. So we already saw what like 1 and 2 were. What was the last message we had in there? It's like 20 something. So we'll just work maybe backwards. Here, let's start with 39, and then we'll go backwards from here. You're right. Yeah, Ford. It did background in there. I forgot that when it popped up, I was expecting it to like pop up there, and I thought that pop up was saying that, oh, you can't run this because you're in the community edition. I was like, dude, some of the stuff was limited in community, but I'm pretty sure like a basic intruder wasn't. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Right there. Check that out. Okay, so hold on. Let's make a note of this real quick. Let's see. Capture Joey session. Let's see. Found IDOR in the message URL. I just noticed the camera's still off. Boop. Let me bring that back up. In the message URL. And let's see. Let's do this. Let's see. We'll say found message 34 from good old intruder. Copy. Actually, hold on. Let's go take a look at this in the browser. Let's see. Message 34 right here. What? Back to inbox. Hold on. Hold on. But we were able to pull that, though. We saw that in here. Oh, no. I take that back. That was message 27. I'm an idiot. I don't know where I got stuck on 34. Message 27. There we go. Boom. I think Explorer saved me from a 7-zip O-Day. I was unzipping a RAR file, and then Explorer.exe said something about a stack buffer overflow or something. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. All right. So cool thing is, now what we have is we got this message right here. So let's copy that. Let's go throw that over into our notes. So now we've got a SQL service and a password and a flag right here. Ta-da. Sorry, my mustache is like getting up into my nose, getting all up in my business. All right, hold on. Now, I think there's a flag in here to capture for the actual range. Back to lesson. Let's see. All right, so what flag was found in the internal messages? Oh, I didn't even see like the question here. Okay, so let's go grab that. I think we need all of this. Get some HackSmarter action happening. Submit. Boop. There we go. All right, so what's the username password combination you'd find in the message field? Let's see. So that would be SQL service. And then here's our password right here. Boop. Submit. Yay, capturing flags. Get my little dopamine hit. So now, in theory, we can go get to the SQL Bitstream. Now, hold on. Actually, can we reach that directly? Let me see something real quick. Because from our lab diagram, I assumed we were going to root this box and then move into that. Maybe that's not the case. Let me see. Maybe we still need to do that. Let me go check that real quick. Let's see. Where's our terminal? Boop. All right. Hold on. I'm going to get out of... Let me rename this session. This one will be Wraith. Let's move that right there. Boop, boop. Let's see. What was the name of the server? SQL.bitstream.hsm. Okay. Can we reach that? Let me take out the... I'm going to take out the port designators. I'm just going to let it do a real quick sweep of it. So, Potion, there's a thing you can run called startups. Let me see if I can find it real quick. One second here. Let's see. It's from sysinternals. Yeah, here we go. This is it. Let me make sure this is the right one. Here we go. So this is a tool from sysinternals where it will go through and it will check things like what Bobby was just talking about, like registry, schedule tasks, all this stuff. It's called auto runs. It's part of the sysinternals system. So here, I'll drop a link to it in the chat right there. So what this will do is go through and check all of those like juicy standard persistence mechanisms that if you get infected with malware, it will pop up, or it will basically look in those. A lot of these places that they like to go reside to keep their persistence. So a pretty decent tool in here. All right, hold on. What was I doing? Oh God! Ah, no! Zoom out. There we go. That's what I wanted. Okay, so we can't quite reach it in here, so we might have to go through and try and do a little bit of escalation on it. Let's see. Actually, should I be able to reach it? Let me see. Let's see. 10017. Oh, actually, hold on. This isn't saying it can't reach it. It's saying it can't ping it, right? So not every system responds to pings. So what we'll do is we'll just tell it, don't ping it, just scan it and assume it's online. Okay, there we go. So we do have this guy on it. So let's do a full scan, all ports, and we'll give it some T4 action happening. Boop. We'll let this run for just a second here. So now the way this was, I get the layout. I get what Tyler was going for here. However, I thought I was going to have to compromise the web server to then move over here. This is really less of a network diagram and more of a like an attack chain diagram to like walk you through. So, okay, cool. We found the SQL credentials on the web server. Cool. Makes sense. We found it through an IDOR. Good call, everybody. So from here, now we can go pop down into this guy right here. So the SQL server. What do we got? Yeah, so like what Gumby was saying there, Potion is, what I would do is go get auto runs on a second computer, if you can. Get it onto a USB stick. Or you have to remember, malware typically just infects the operating system. Nobody's probably burning an UEFI bootkit on you. So what you probably want to do is you could do a live boot to another Linux system, boot that up. It shouldn't be infected and running. And then you could go download auto runs, put it onto a USB stick, boot back into Windows, have it completely offline in safe mode, and then load up auto runs and then have it check while the machine's offline. That is the best way to do it. Let's see. Hey, Smelly, what's up? Pro hacker. Dude, there's sometimes I absolutely do not feel like any kind of a pro. I meet so many guys that are just huge galaxy brains, and I look at them in awe, and I'm like, how does your brain even work, bro? Like, it's kind of like that. Sometimes I don't feel like all that much of a pro, to be quite frank with you. For an easier range, Tyler probably didn't want to require pivoting. That's true. And you know what? I completely understand that. So actually, hold on. Where's my list here? I was trying to, as I've gotten better at editing the YouTube videos, I did want to do... Shut up, baby. I know it. Hey, Drew. What's up, dude? I've got a list of like some deep dive videos I wanted to do. And so far what I've got is, I got Bloodhound and Mythic, because those are two that I get a lot of questions on, but also Ludus, because I do really like Ludus. But you know what? Actually understanding pivoting. Let's see. Damn it, this pen died. You failed. Hold on, I got another pen around here somewhere. Let me make a note of that. There we go. We'll say net pen pivoting. Because pivoting really does throw a lot of people for a loop, and I think they're just overcomplicating it. So that was one of the things that I never really had much trouble with, was understanding where I'm going when I'm pivoting. So I think that would be a good one to go through also. That would be another one of those good deep dive videos. Drew, I'm doing better today than I was yesterday. I'm going to apologize again. I am so sorry for missing last night's stream. I passed out and my wife tried to wake me up for the stream and she's like, "You were so exhausted I couldn't wake you up." And I was like, that tracks. So I am trying to fix my sleep schedule. I was very, very trying hard to get like one YouTube video out a week, but I just have to be realistic that I'm not going to be able to sustain that until I get faster at the editing process, because that's what eats up most of the time. Well, actually, research and gathering thoughts. Hey, Chicken, thanks for coming online, man. Researching and gathering thoughts, that takes up a decent chunk of time, but really the editing and packaging is what eats up a lot of time. So I'm trying to like get those a little bit smoother in there. Okay, this is taking an extremely long time, so we're not going to do this. So let's just do like the top 4,000 ports. There we go. That'll cut out 61,000 ports. We should be able to get that one pretty fast. Fun fact, I forget who, so the guys who wrote Nmap did a study. They looked at every open port on the internet, and they found out that's how the top ports was actually developed. So by default, when you run an Nmap scan, just saying, hey, go scan this thing, it's doing what's called a top 1,000 scan. So they went and scanned the whole internet. They found out what was the probability of seeing certain ports open, and then they ranked them from most likely to least likely, and then that's what that top 1,000 is, the 1,000 most likely. Now the fun fact is, if you scan, I want to say it was the top 3,800, you get well north of like 90%. I think it was like 95%. So usually whenever I'm trying to check something and I want reasonable assurance that at least on a first pass that I've gotten all the ports, I'll just do top ports 4,000, and then later in the background I might go run one where it scans all the ports. Sleep schedule is pretty important for us old farts. Dude, if I was getting back to my regular exercise schedule, once I get that going for a good solid 3 months, funny enough, I don't need as much sleep. Yeah. Dude, so I'm not saying that I went and... Actually, yes, I am saying. There was literally one day I went and read the entire man page for Nmap. I pulled it up on my laptop, and I was working a job where I didn't have to pay very close attention to anything, and I literally went through it and just did my own little deep dive into Nmap, as dumb as that is. God, when was that? That must have been about... That must have been at least 16 years ago that I did that. Oh, sorry. Gumby, yes, I did see you ask about WASM. Yeah. That's just like web service management in here. So we do see that open. One of the things we can probably do with this is... Actually, let me make a note in the notes. Let me copy this. Let's copy that. Let's put a little delineator in here. There we go. So let's go drop this in here. So now what we'll do is let's go see if we can connect over to SQL. And what we'll do is we'll just use like a MySQL client from Impacket. We'll just do that. Let's see, Impacket, MS SQL client right here. And I don't remember anything about the command line for it. Oh, good golly, that's a lot of options. Here we go. So our target is... Let's see. We do know this is a Windows box. Actually, hold on. Do we know this is a Windows box? Let me see. Oh, yeah. It says right here, this is MS SQL. Actually, hold on. I want to do one more bit of due diligence in here. So since we know what ports are open, right? Let me take this out. Let's go ahead and target specific ports in here. So what ports did we have? 1433, 3389, and 5985. Okay. 1433, 3389, which is RDP, so that's a good indicator that this is a Windows box. And then, what was the other one? 5985. And then we will do, we'll do some version, and we'll do some common script checks on it real quick. So this is my usual preferred way of doing this. Is what I'll do is I will scan just for ports, and then I will refine that to like just the ports that are open, try to make Nmap a little less chunkified, because Nmap likes to go through. In fact, hold on, I just realized I forgot to do something. This T4 option can mess up your script scans. So typically I'll take that out and I try to run it like a little bit more targeted in here. Can we just use those creds we've got? We can. I just want to do a little bit more due diligence before I yeet them at the box. So right here, we do see that this is 1433. We see our cert. So this is a Microsoft SQL server. Chances are it was. I just wanted to go double check. And then let's see, for 3389, we see the target name, NetBIOS name, computer name. So we get a little bit more information into it. We already knew that because it was provided to us as part of the scoping document. But I just wanted to go double check this info real quick. So actually what I'm going to do is, yeah, I'll take this info. Let's go ahead and, there we go. Let's take that and we'll go put that over into our notes right here. Boop, just like that. Excellent. So now we've got it just in case we need it. So I want to go do something though that I didn't realize a lot of people didn't really do this, but let's go ahead and go grab some info here. So one thing I like to do because I'm very lazy is whenever I'm going through and I'm setting up something is, actually, hold on, I'll just copy this whole line. Let me show you. I go set up environment variables to try and help make reproducing a command lines a lot easier. So what I'll do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to set up an export, and what we'll do is we'll call this SQL user, just like that. Boop, boop. And then I'm going to do another one in here. I'm going to call this SQL pass. Let's see. Pass, delete, and we'll single quote that. Just like this. Now, whenever I use successive commands, I can just use those variables without having to worry about trying to escape them or any other shenanigans in here. Boop, boop. Now I can just use those in here. So if I want to double check them just to be certain, I'll come over here and I'll do like SQL user, make sure it comes back. So that's all clear right there. Okay, so now that we've got this, now let me go pull up. Make sure I remember exactly how this is supposed to be. So what we will need to do is we need to put our target in here. So the target is real, oh, I say real simple. This is our address right here. So typically it's domain, username, password at whatever the target name or IP address is in here. So let me go copy that real quick. So I like to also pre-stage the commands that I'm going to use in here. So what we'll do is we'll do this, and then our domain we've got in here. Actually, do we need the domain? You know, the domain wasn't counted in there. So, and the domain actually is technically optional. So we'll just stick with the username in here. So what we'll do is we will do SQL user / oh, no, colon, my bad. So we'll do colon SQL, let's see, pass. And in fact, hold on, I want to do one more in here. Export, let's see, SQL. Actually, no, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to put the actual command that we're going to be doing in here. So let's do. And then what was the host name on this thing? It was sql.bitstream.hsm. Let's bring that down here. Boop, like that. And so now I like to just kind of pre-stage those commands in here. So let's go ahead and run that. Boop, boop, boop. And boom goes the dynamite. We are good. So I can't stand gum though, Core. Yeah. I'm not a big gum person. Let's see. So the very first thing we want to check in here is, we could go see like what we've got on this system. Let's see. Let's just try Let's see if we can just get like XP command shell on here. So XP command shell, let's check the host name. Let me see. Okay, we see SQL. What about if we check, let's see, IP config. Let's check a few more things. Okay, cool. So we are absolutely getting XP command shell firing in here. Underbars, that is good. So now what we want to do is let's now go over to Mythic in here. Ooh. Let me go ahead and close this out. Close, discard. We don't need that anymore. Let's go back over to Mythic. Let's check our services real quick. Okay, cool. We see Apollo containers online, and we're testing this live. This is the version 4 beta of Mythic C2. So I have a very good or bad, depending on your point of view, habit for poor Cody, Mr. It's a Feature, which, by the way, when he does the full like a Mythic 4 launch, right now it's in beta. When he does that, I'll have him back on the stream and we'll talk to him, and like y'all can come in and ask questions about anything you want to know. He is such a cool dude. He is so mellow. He loves talking about Mythic. That's why he works on it. It's one of his very, very favorite things. So I'll ask him to come back on whenever Mythic 4 fully releases, and we can talk about it. Y'all can pick his brain. You can help understand it. For anybody who's not really messed with Mythic, Mythic is not something like Metasploit, and it's not something like Cobalt Strike or Night Beacon. Mythic, actually, it's kind of like it's a little bit more akin to something like Metasploit than it is to something like Cobalt Strike or Night Beacon. Let's see. Hey, Strel, thanks for coming online, man. Welcome in. And a happy Sunday to everybody. I hope you all had a fantastic day. Yeah, so Mythic is truly a framework. It is designed to give you all the bits and pieces to go build all the various functionality that you want. So, for example, C2 channels. You could have a custom one in here. He provides, as an example, an HTTP one. Works pretty well, actually. There's also an HTTPX one where you could go do something like malleable frameworks for, for Cobalt Strike, something along those lines. You can go through and he gives you all the tools to build your own agents. He gives things for command augmentations. Even for like webhooks, loggers, eventing, everything is kind of exposed through this GraphQL API in here, and you can do all that with it. So this is what Mythic really kind of brings to the table and why I like it so much, because you can do all sorts of really cool things with it. So now what we need is we need to go create a payload. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a Windows payload in here. Let me back this out just a little bit. There we go. Making the payload is actually pretty straightforward. We'll go next in here. And then, let's see. We just need to tell it like what kind we're going to build. We're going to build a Windows executable. We don't want any of the debug stuff in here. Adjusting file name, that's fine. Keyring, not worried about that. We're going to keep this a very basic payload. We'll go ahead and... It's different per payload. Apollo allows you to dynamically load certain commands over. I'm going to be lazy and I'm just going to yeet them all in here. So we're going to have the full gamut of commands. If I didn't want to, I could just let it load with like different dynamic ones. And then I could go load the commands I needed. We're in a CTF lab. I don't care. So I'm going to drop those in here. Now, I always do this. There's an easy way to come in here and do this. So you can make reusable reusable profiles in here. So if you come over to this save option, you can come in here and create a new instance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this HSM. Call this Bitstream. In fact, you know what? There's actually an easier, even better way to do this. Hang on. Is it in settings? Let me see. No, it's not here. You can actually create different operations. So by default, you're going to get, let me move the camera. You're going to get this operation Chimera right here. That's fine. I'm actually going to add a new one to it. New operation name. We're going to call this one HSM Bitstream. Submit. Boom. Now, I still have to go give Cody a hard time and some noogies, because one of the things that I hate is it doesn't load up here like what you've got going when you do that. So let me reload the page. Now we see it in here. I can make that the current operation, and you could have multiple operations working on the same one. Now, when I go make things like the C2 profile here, now I can actually come through and I can modify them for this particular one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to key this to our particular IP address. Let me make a new tab here. Let's see. So where's ton 0? Here we go. So I'm going to use this IP address right here. And I'm just going to use that as the callback name in here. So I'm going to change that to HTTP. We're not doing HTTPS. And it's going to give it the IP address. Our callback, default 10 seconds. Actually, I'm going to change that to like, we'll leave it at 10 for now. We can always turn it back down where we wanted something. And then we could come through and we could adjust all the various settings in here. Kill date by default goes like a year out. So all that should be good. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this. So this creates our new HTTP profile so that when we come and create our new payload, we can just use that directly. So we'll hit next here. We'll leave all that the same. I'm going to yeet all the commands in there. And then when I include this, I'm going to include the HTTP profile here. And I'm going to select that one we just made. So I know it's calling back to us on the correct port and everything. Any of the options that we changed, it would have pre-populated. And now, once we're good here, we could call this Apollo. We'll call this SQL so we know like which one it is. Create payload. So now what's happening is Apollo is actually, we have sent all the build parameters to the Apollo container. And that Apollo container is talking to Mythic over a Rabbit MQ messaging queue. It's sent over the build instructions. It's going to build the entire payload and prepare for us and then send that up to Mythic. Then we can actually go get it and send it to the other machine. So one thing I will need with this, though, is I'm going to need a download and exec option in here. So let's go over to Lolbaz. So here's the Lolbaz project. Because from Lolbaz, what we need is we need a download option. Let's see. Here we go. Desktop image downloader. Boom. So what we can do now is we can actually use this as an example of where we want to go download everything and bring it in. So let's do a little bit more situational awareness. Let's see. Let's do XP command shell who am I. All right, so we're running as net service, MySQL, SQL Express. In this case, they're using Windows temp. So let's go see like what we've got in there. So let's drop that, see what we found. Directory not found. What? Sorry, hold on. Let me catch up on the chat real quick here. Do. Let me see. All right, hold on. Just checking the chat real fast, make sure I wasn't missing anything. All right, so we don't have Windows temp in here. Let's see. What do we have in users? We have Bob. We also have public in here. We might be able to just drop that over into public if we wanted to. We could go just get ourselves a simple reverse shell and then drop our C2 payload. I was hoping to just jump directly to the C2 payload. Where am I want to drop that? I tell you what, hold on, let's do that real quick. We could still use that as our downloader, but let me pull up rev shells. We can use this one in here. So what we want is, let's change this to Windows. Because we can actually then get an interactive session and then go through and do it. Let's see here. Let me try something real quick, actually. Let's see. I'm going to try... Can we do PowerShell execution through? Let's do PowerShell taxi. See if that will work. That may not work. Because what we're doing is we're forking command.exe. Oh, actually, it did. Okay. Permission denied, because it's running from system 32. Nice. But the good thing is, that means we actually could use a PowerShell reverse shell in here. So let's do that, because I prefer PowerShell. All right, so what we need to do is we got to give it what our IP address is. And, crap, what was the IP address? There it is. Copy that. Encoding, none. I think that's kind of all we need. Actually, you know what we could do is we could do... Hold on. I need to change that. PowerShell. Let's see. We do want a reverse shell in here. Let's see. Yep. Listener, we can use Netcat. That's fine. Actually, what was that other one? There was another one that would be better. But you know what? That's fine. Oh, wait, hold on. Here we go. This is what I wanted. Yeah, there we go. This gives us the PowerShell command we can just use directly. So let's copy that. First thing we got to do, though, is we got to go set up our Netcat listener. So we'll do that over here. Netcat. What do we set this on? 9001. There we go. Now we can come back over here and we can do the same thing we've got, but we can just drop in that PowerShell line right there. Boom. So now if we come back over to here, in just a second, we should let it run. Hopefully it got all the parameters correct. Hey, there we go. Nice. Da, 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 da. Nice. Okay. So now we've got something going on here. You see what we've got? We got some inetpub, we got some SQL. Let's see. Unfortunately, I always fall for this. Tab complete's not going to work in here. Sorry, I scrolled on the chat and it pauses it whenever I do that. Let's see. Let's see. Well, I needed ton 1 originally, Gumby, because ton 1 was whenever we had the 2 tunnels up. I'm not gonna be able to scroll. When I accidentally LS'd against system 32, it BTFO'd the back scroll in here. But here, hold on, let me show you. New tab. So when I do the IP ADDR, right, we only have ton 0 because I'm not running the Hack the Box VPN. We just have the 1. I think I'm becoming immune to ibuprofen. Oh no. I had so many buddies that were in the military. One of them was, I've had several that were Rangers in the Army, and they used to call 800 milligrams ibuprofen Ranger candy. Let's see. We could stabilize it, but really this is just for doing our download exec. And in fact, let me just see if I can find that. We could use, if we wanted to, we could go use this. We could have used a lulbaz directly to download it and run it. We might still, just for funsies. What do we got? We got 20 minutes left before we got to wrap up the stream. Let me see. PowerShell download exec. Oh, I love that Brave's little AI system just absolutely like let it run here. Hold on, let me see what this one is. Let's see, invoke web requests for URL, out file, app data exe. Okay, so yeah, pretty standard in here. Let's see, because what we want to do is, if we come over here to Mythic, we have our payload right here. We could, in theory, go download it in here, but what I want to do is, let's come over to our payloads. If we click on this one, and we go to, where's the metadata? Hold on. The text is tiny. Here we go. View payload configuration. We could have a direct download right here. We get this big nasty thing, but we can also actually host this up in the C2 profile for HTTP. So we'll use our HTTP C2 profile, and what we'll do is we'll call this Apollo tag sql.exe, just like that. And yeah, we'll want to get a download alert anytime that gets downloaded. And then we're just going to hit submit. Boom, just like that. So now, this is different. He's updated this one in here. Oh, we could change that? And we can stop it. Nice, nice. Okay, submit. All that's done. So now what we can do is we can go to that IP address and we could pull that down. So for example, our IP address was, crap, I closed it. Sorry, I know it's tiny. I'm just grabbing the IP address real quick. Yeah. Copy that. So, for example, I could come over here and go to our IP address and then just go to Apollo tag sql.exe. Was that the right path in there? Oh, let me make sure I got it correct in there. Yeah, Apollo SQL executable. That in theory should work. Well, it's probably not working because it's the ton 0 and it's probably trying to reach it over that. Oh, you know what? It's because I'm an idiot. There's a 1 in there. Interesting. That's coming back as a 404. Oh, you know what? I need to check something real quick in here. I just remembered something. Let me blow this up. Let's see. Netstat plant, and then I'm gonna grep for 80 on here. Let me sudo that, and then also I'm gonna grep for Docker in here. Is that not listening? Hang on. What I'm trying to make sure is to make sure that the container is actually listening on the correct option. Okay, yeah, it should be listening on all interfaces in here. Hang on. I'm just double checking that this is going to the correct place real quick here. In fact, I'm going to curl for this, but I'm just going to do tac I because I want to see just the headers. Oh, that's sending an I. Okay. Type less. Oh, that came back as a 404 anyway. Why is that coming back as a 404? Hang on. This is why we double check it before we go eat commands. Let me view the payload configuration again. What did I jump into? Hey, Jero, hey man. So what we're doing is we're actually going through a lab here from HackSmarter. because I really liked what we were going through during last week while DEF CON was going on. And I love Tyler. I've been meaning to go test out his labs anyway, and it was a lot of fun. So this is the lab configuration that we're doing right now. So we got access into this web server. We were able to kind of steal some credentials, and now we're trying to pivot over into the SQL server. We've got access to it from the credentials we took from the web server. So now what we're doing is setting up a C2 payload over on this web server real quick. That's all we're doing right now. And I wanted to make sure that this was actually coming back in here. The question is, why is it not? Nope, that was not correct. That should be working. I mean, we already have our reverse shell right here. We could try that. Let's just give it a go. So what we want is... Let me grab a copy of this real quick. Let's go throw this into our notes real fast, because we have a couple of things we need to break out of here. We don't need a one-liner. We could... Actually, we do kind of need a one-liner. We need this part right here. What we don't need is that section there. Okay, so this will drop it over into app data. So our URL, it should be ApolloTac.sql.exe. That should be correct. I think the VPN is just muddying it up a little bit. I'm going to try it. We're going to give it the good old college try right here. So what we'll do is we'll copy this. Oh, you know what? This is in... Let me try something real quick. CD2. Is it all lowercase? I'm trying to remember. Let me see here. Nope, didn't like that. Well, let me see. Ah, there we go. That's where we should be. Okay. So that's actually where we want to drop it. env app data. Let's go modify this. In theory, this should have worked in here. Let's see. We should be able to take those out right there. We drop this in. Because what we're doing is we're targeting the % ones work for like command, for like shell commands, but we're in PowerShell. So it's a little bit different in here. So let me see if I can get this to download. All right, so now what we'll do is I'm going to do an ls in app data here. Damn, looks like it did not download. And in fact, we can verify that over in Apollo. So if we come back to Apollo, we don't see any download hits. We would see an alert popping up in here. Let me see. Yeah, so we've got these. Let me resolve all of these. Boop. In fact, let me try one more thing here. So I want to show y'all what we should be seeing. So if I go up to like localhost. Why is this not working? Did I find a new bug? Now we are testing the version 4 beta of this. Let me see. I tell you what, let me try this real quick. We're gonna just give this a go because it is hosted in there. Oh, why did you not copy? Close. No, that's what I want to do. Copy link. Here we go. So to give you an idea, this is what should happen. Oh, what do we have? Missing read scope. Okay, so we may have actually found a bug to go report to Cody. Let me see. Let's see. Let's do new private window. So that way now we don't have any of the We don't have any of the cookies or anything interfering with here. Aha! Okay. Okay, I'll have to send Cody a message because it looks like that is not working. Okay. That explains it. Okay. Because one thing that Cody did was he changed how the API works. PowerShell, Schmowershell. That's right. Hey, Phil, what's up, dude? He changed how the API works where you actually have like fine-grained personal access tokens in Mythic. And I think when he did that, it broke the Mythic web hosting system. So, not such a bad thing. I mean, we can still operate through here. We could download it. We could upload it. There's different things we could do. Let me think about something. What was that? So we could get a little bit more robust shell handler. We could go use Metasploit. There was another one, though. Some of y'all had mentioned in the chat. I forget what it was, but it was another one for handling like some of those reverse shells. It was a Python system. Penelope? Let me go see. Maybe that was the one I'm trying to think of. Let's see. Penelope Cruz? Is that who we're talking about? No, that's not it. Let's see. Penelope. Let's see. Shellcatcher. I don't think this was the one I was looking at. I mean, it looks interesting. So actually, you just reminded me of something. Why am I making this so hard on myself? One thing we could do is we can go download this and we could just serve it up ourselves. Hang on. Let me close this out because we know this isn't working. So let's come here. Let me close that. Let's come back over to Mythic. We're largely done with Wraith. We could go shut Wraith down. I'll leave it up for now. But let's just do this. Let's go download this. There's our Apollo. So we'll come over here. We'll CD over to downloads. And what is it? Python 3. Is it? I think it's TACM http.server. Is that it? Yeah, there we go. All right, I'm going to change that, though. I think we can do TACP. Let's see, 10,000? Nope, that ain't it. 10,000? Ah, there we go. All right, so now we've got it up and running, so we could go download it from there. So let me try adjusting our command just a wee bit. We'll still have it go there, but it should be able to reach this on port 10,000 now. So let's copy that, and we'll see if that will get it to download for us. So let's go over to our SQL shell right here. And then I will do the same thing again. Where was our... Actually, let's just CD over there. All right, so cool. There's our a.exe. Boom. Now, we're taking bets on if it's actually going to run. Let's see. I don't see a pop-up saying we got a callback. So if it is calling back, unfortunately, we're not seeing it. Penelope is really good for Linux boxes. I haven't used it in Windows, but it looks like it's more basic there. Yeah. I haven't tried Penelope yet. There was another one. I don't remember what it was, but y'all had recommended it. So we do have command execution on the system. I just wanted a bit more robust command execution over here. So we had our PowerShell happening here. We've got everything else we can just kind of run. One of the things I had meant to do was to have like an Apollo PowerShell payload option. I forgot about that. I should go work on that. Can we have a build betting? Are you talking about like betting if the build is going to be successful or not? Let's go double check our settings real fast here. So if we come over to actions and we view the payload configuration again, we can see everything about this payload that Mythic is tracking. So just file name is fine, debug is fine, continue on fail is fine, shellcode format. Well, that's for donut loading. That's for shellcodes. We're fine there. Let's see. Windows executable output type. That's good. Here we go. So 192.168.221.2. Let's go double check that real quick. I mean, we know everything's up and running here. Yeah, 192.168.221.2. It could just be that the way the network is set up, we can't get a reverse shell. Actually, no, we should be able to get a reverse shell back because it called back. So I don't know why Apollo is not calling back. Our configuration looks proper. We're calling back on HTTP on port 80. Everything's looking good here. There's all of our loaded commands. Like I said, when you look at the metadata for the payload, you can see everything that's in there. You could have it like as a roulette, bet on whether or not the build is going to run. I'll have to think about how to do that, Hats, because I have to think about how to integrate it against the multiple platforms, because right now we're streaming on Kick, Twitch, and YouTube. And so I have to think about like how it would work against those multiple platforms. Let's see here. My first thought was that something in that container was not listening correctly. Let's go check that real quick before we call it a night here. Where's the... I know there's a way to split this. Let's see. Split top bottom. There we go. Let me double check something real quick. Hi, grep HTTP. Okay, so there's our container right there. That should be our container running the Mythic C2 profile for HTTP. And then let me grab this command real quick. Copy. I want to see what ports are listening on here. All right, hang on one second. Let me see if I can inspect just the container. Okay, that's all coming back. So let's take this filter here. Let's do that, and then we'll pipe that over to less. And then we should be looking for like, let's see, ports. Interesting. Why are you not listening on any network ports? Hang on. Let me see. Anything? Hang on. Let's see. Les went crazy on me. Search for 80. Okay. It's like, we'll just pipe that over to grep. Yeah, for some reason... Now, there might be something in here we need to go change in Mythic. I think this might be the case. Let's see. Sudo vim.env. And then search for network. Ah, here we go. This is why. We don't want to do Docker networking as bridge. I believe we want to change that to host. And then now... what we want to do is Mythic CLI. I think it's restart. Because what was happening is we were trying to go through the Mythic server to do that. As Sid, he does cross-platform stuff. Now, I think this was a Docker issue, and I don't want to do bridge containers. I want to do direct containers in there. So let's let this restart real quick, and then we'll go double check it. And then I do need to wrap up the stream there. But that's one of those things like in the Mythic deep dive that I wanted to go over. Like, okay, look, here's how the networking sets up by default. Here's kind of how I recommend doing it and why, and talk about those differences in there. Yeah, I know it kind of, the time just flew by. I like this lab. And I forgot how much I have missed doing like actual like getting in there and popping shells and getting that nice little dopamine. Because it was really fun when we did it last weekend while everybody was at DEF CON. And I'm still having a lot of fun with it here, even though I know it's a really simple lab. Sometimes you just got to get those reps in, you know? Just try to keep a little sharp in here. All right, let me refresh this. Let's see. HTTP did not restart. I think it's status. Let's see. Says HTTP's up. Let me refresh it one more time. All right, says it's running. Now, let me try something real quick. Let me see. Docker PS. Let's see. Where's the HTTP one in here? There it is. Okay, looks like it's the same container. Copy. Let's see. Where was that? Hang on. I'm looking for the command. It's not showing up in here. B reader. I think that's it. Reader? Anyway, reader. Welcome in, man. Sorry, I wasn't quite sure how to say the username. Welcome in, though. I hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. I had a pretty good one today, dude. It was nice to, even though I still wasn't feeling all that great, Sock made me go take a nap well before the stream so she could make sure to wake me up like an hour before the stream started instead of like when it was supposed to start. So I would be able to do it because she knows that I really hate missing streams. So she's awesome, by the way. By the way, for anybody who doesn't know, Sock is my wife. That's her code name. She is the supportive, organized caregiver. And she has all my TTPs down flat. I cannot pull anything past her. Was that... Where did I do the inspect command? Oh, I did the inspect command over here. There we go. Okay, we're getting somewhere now. Hang on. Still no ports exposed. That's wild. Hang on, though. We should see... Let's see. Network mode is host, though. Okay, cool. So that is what we wanted in here. Let me see. Docker... Actually, hold on. Let's do a netstat. Here we go. Okay, so we do see Mythic HTTP listening on there. I want to try something real fast. Hang on. Because this should have fixed our payload issue. Yeah, let me go try this real quick. What was our IP address? Crap. It was 192 something. Here we go. Let me grab this. Now I think this will actually work. Let's see. And then let's see, this was Apollo Tac. Let's see, Apollo Tac SQL.exe. 404, preposterous. Now, what did we get here when we did this? Wait, did our Apollo build not even complete? No, that was if we were creating a service in here. So everything should be good. Let me band-aid these real quick. There we go. Let me try one more thing here before I go bug Cody. Where was that? It was payloads. Then we go to config. Hey, Owen, what's up, man? Welcome in. Hope you're having a fantastic Saturday. Thanks for coming online. My feet are cold. I don't get that problem too much in this office because this office is the single hottest room in the house. With all the computers and everything else I've got, it's wild. And what's even crazier, so I found a guy on Facebook selling Elgato 4K camera. However, I didn't realize how much smaller the aperture is in this. And so my studio lights that I've got up here are only 15 watts. And and they're already really bright. So like, I'm gonna have to get like 30 watt lights. And I'm like, golly, man, that's gonna be, I probably have to start wearing sunglasses on stream, man. Hang on one second. Let me grab this link. Copy link. Let me see if this will work. Nope. Okay. I don't think this is a direct Mythic issue. So I'll have to go double check this in here. I tell you what, I want to try one more thing in here. Let's host this again. I'm just going to call this a.exe. Submit. Download alerts. Yes, I do want download alerts. And then let me see if I can get that to download. Yeah, so we shouldn't see any pop-ups in here. Refresh. All right, I'm going to try one more thing here. I'm going to put this onto localhost, a.exe. Still 404. Okay, I'll have to go track this down and see if I can figure out like what it's doing here. We already downloaded it. We set up our own one on the box, right? So we have it up and running. So we have a.exe in here, but there's something a little bit funny about this. So we might just have to forego the C2 channel on here. The VPN might be kind of throwing it out a little bit, but let's see. Unfortunately, guys, that is where I need to wrap it up. Hang on, let me get rid of the ads here for just a second, because it is time. I do have to work in the morning. I do need to get my sleep schedule thoroughly unscrewed up. So let's go check out. I need to go bug GoPro because I don't know if InfoSec Streams is even still working. Yeah, I think InfoSec Streams needs a reboot. I'll DM GoPro and I'll see what's up. Normally, InfoSec Streams would keep track of like anybody who does like cybersecurity streams up in here. It would be popping them in, letting everything know how things are going, but it hasn't been working recently. So let me go see who we've got on that we could go raid over to real quick. Who is in science and technology? Let's see. Who do we've got? Let's see. Science is on. Arduino's on. We might go right over to Arduino because I think he's doing the CubeSat simulator. I love Arduino. I love nerdy space stuff. Let's see. Ace console repairs has been on for 101 hours? What? Oh, you know what? Shy Hat is on. We're going to go right over to Shy Hat. Yeah, Gumby, thank you. I just saw your message right as I noticed it. So yeah, we'll go right over to Shy Hat. Because Shy Hat is awesome and always doing fun security stuff. So let me get that started right there. All right, everyone. Unfortunately, that's where I got to wrap it up. I will catch up with y'all Wednesday night. We'll be doing Hacker News for the week. If you've got any cool news stories that you want to cover, Up on the Discord, there is a news thread in there. You can pop in there, drop news stories. It's open for anybody. And we try to cover as many as we can. Look for like the really cool, interesting ones. All of y'all have a fantastic week. I hope y'all just absolutely get out there and crush it. It's already Monday for some of y'all. Tomorrow will be Monday for us, like here in the US. But anyway, Monday is the beginning of crushing it mode. I want y'all to get out there. We do not go weekly into the week. We go crushing it into the week. Week being the unit of time, not the descriptor of a person's physicality. No, we protect the week, but we go crushing it into the week. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. You're all smart folks. Anyway, I'll catch up with y'all Wednesday night. Y'all have a fantastic week. And I want you to remember one very important thing, and that is I love you. Peace.